Ho il piacere adesso di introdurre il professor Peter Suter con l'ultima relazione di questa mattina dal titolo Appropriatezza in Svizzera, stiamo facendo tutto il possibile. Sicuramente è un aspetto che ci interessa molto, in quanto anche la Lamal usa questo termine, appropriatezza, per definire i principi della qualità, e siamo molto interessati a cosa il professor Suter ci dirà al proposito. Il dottor Suter è medico specializzato in medicina interna e medicina intensiva, ha diretto il Dipartimento di Medicina Intensiva Chirurgica degli ospedali universitari di Ginevra, professore ordinario e decano della Facoltà di Medicina e vicerettore dell'Università di Ginevra. I suoi interessi sono nella ricerca relative ai problemi polmonari, le infezioni in cure intensive, la valutazione dell'insegnamento e la ricerca nel campo etico. È autore di numerose pubblicazioni scientifiche ed è membro di diversi board editoriali e consigli scientifici, già membro di Swissmedic, è stato presidente dell'Accademia Svizzera delle Scienze Mediche dal 2004 al 2011 ed è attualmente presidente dello Swiss Medical Board. Grazie professor Suter, a lei la parola.
Grazie mille per questa introduzione e grazie mille per l'invitazione di venire a Lugano. Sono contento che Paolo Beltramelli sta qui perché sono convinto che le forze politiche possono fare molto in questa direzione, non per noi medici, ma per il paziente. I will take in my presentation a slightly different approach. I will not speak about choosing wisely, but I will speak about some of the problems around it. The typical Swiss patient is frequently seen like that overall by international comparisons, for instance by the OECD, saying that in Switzerland we are making too much, which is not really bringing too much benefit for the patient. Frequently, a response is, we have more freedoms for the patient to choose not only his physicians, not only one, maybe several, and also a lot of choice for the physicians, for the hospital, to do what they think is optimal. Now, this is a little bit not only controversial, but maybe an extreme approach. What I would like to do in the next 10 or 15 minutes is to just take as examples how a lot of people try to make good choices for the smartest medicine possible in Switzerland. And the 4 examples I would like to go through very briefly is some political instances from the Confederation. We know that Swissmedic, it's a federal office of public health, but also some programs such as Health 2020 play quite an important role. Then I would like to come to some roles of the medical associations, which clearly improve this field, and I will come back also to guidelines, which were mentioned already for Germany. I will not speak about the smarter medicine. Much more competent people will do that and have done that already before. I'll say a few words about the roles of Swiss Academy of Medical Science and other academies, and finally come to the cantons or the districts which have an important role in our health care. I'm convinced that we have with these possibilities many opportunities, but I will also try to convince you that there is room for improvement. Now, I have a few slides also in German because I took the original tests. As you know, that Health 2020 is one of the big programs of our health minister, Alain Berset, and you can read here that he did make a program which was adopted by the government, where he proposes 12 Ziele, 12 goals for a good health system. And you see, you have not to read it, just look what is in bold, that this includes a strategy for quality improvement and also a strategy for health technology assessment, which means looking at technologies which are here, but maybe not optimally used. 1 year later, our government brought a program, a proposal for a quality center in Switzerland. I chose that because I will stay a little bit with health technology assessment, and this program was composed by 2 parts, a quality center and a health technology assessment part. Now, this was going into consultation, as everything in Switzerland, and the stakeholders were not really all convinced that this was the best approach. There were some changes done, but still, as you can see here indicated in red, there was clearly the government wanted to look into assessment of health technology and of appropriateness, of quality of what is doing. Now, health technology assessment was also discussed 2 days ago in the BAG, in the Federal Office of Public Health, and I got these slides thanks to Oliver Peters. And you see here what was discussed there. Again, health technology assessment is considered quite an important part of what should be improved in Switzerland, but we may not all agree on how it should be done. They explained, the Federal Office of Public Health, that there are 2 parts. 2 parts you all know: new technology, new methods, new drugs, which are proposed to go into the system and into compulsory payment by the insurances. That is done by Swissmedic, by the legal federal commissions, and then is a second part indicated down here, which should evaluate these same things after a few years in the light of what they have become, what they bring and what they do not bring. Again, in the sense of choosing wisely only those technology who really brought the benefits. And you see a few of these themes for 2015, which were proposed 2 days ago. You see here we have one of the first part, a new technology which is proposed. It has to be evaluated, and 2 things here which are used since many, many years and possibly not optimally used, with indications which are controversial. And here you see that also the Swiss Medical Board, I will come to that later on, has a mandate to look at an intervention which is quite frequent and which is what is really the question. It increases by 20% per year. 20% of the Swiss knees are more sick every year and need an arthroscopy, which are therapeutic arthroscopy. Is it sense or is that the nonsense? The Swiss Academy of Medical Sciences has also proposed durable medicine or sustainable medicine ideas with some questions and then with a roadmap. It's very nice to propose improvements, but you should also think about in what time frame these should be improved. Because proposals are always nice. If 3 or 5 or 10 years later they stay proposals, it's not really ideal. And this durable medicine campaign has also a number of goals, and I just show you one here which goes in the right direction of today. We propose that all specialties should provide choosing wisely or smarter medicine lists and should provide guidelines for important parts of their specialist activity. And this brings me to the role of specialists and also to our National Medical Association. And I just give you a few examples how guidelines in Switzerland are developed, are coming, and what the problems possibly are. Now, we all know we will not invent, as we usually do, the wheel. There are a lot of good international indications and a framework for that. Here just a book of the Institute of Medicine, which is very well known. Now, before that, the Swiss Academy and the FMH did make analysis, a pool, to look if guidelines are used in Switzerland, if they exist, and the slides I have from Hermann Amstadt, thank you very much. And as you can see here, the majority of the specialist societies have guidelines. Then there are some networks. The big hospitals also have frequently guidelines. You see all who have responded to the pool have guidelines. That is not necessarily always 7, but a majority of associations, of institutions, of specialists have guidelines. Now you see here just a list. We do not have 700 as in Switzerland. We are also 10 times smaller, but we certainly have 70. Now, we heard that only 20% are really fantastically good. I do not know how that is in Switzerland. You see here a problem or a question. Should these guidelines and the application of guidelines be looked at? I personally am convinced yes. Who should it do? That's another question. But I think that's a positive feedback for those who make the guidelines also to know if they are applied. Now again, the international scene is quite clearly full of guidelines, but also some limitations. Because guidelines are as good as those who write it, as independent as those who write it. And there have been some problems with guidelines because, for instance, the pharma industry were a little bit too much involved and had possibly a little bit influenced the topics or the conclusions, and we have to be careful with that. Now, finally, I'm coming to my last topic, which is what the cantons do in this direction, what they have done. And I'll say a few words about health technology assessment, which is a Swiss Medical Board approach, and also concentration of highly specialized medicine, where I'm in both a little bit involved, or was involved. Now, the Swiss Medical Board was an initiative of one canton, and this is a fantastic advantage of the federalistic system in Switzerland. One canton can take the initiative to start something. Does not have a national approval for it, and that is a big advantage. If it doesn't succeed, well, it was only one canton. If it doesn't succeed, the other cantons will be interested in it. And you see, the Swiss Medical Board was started 5 or 6 years ago, and it was really declared on his fanion, we would like to be independent and neutral, and we also would like to involve stakeholders. So this part was not a success. Because the stakeholders, as you know, even if you take one specialty involved, you will find at least 2 or 3 or 15 opinions on a question. And we didn't really handle that well. Then Swiss HTA, which is pharma and insurers, did join. And this was a marriage which was from the beginning with quite a lot of problem, but we are not really divorcing at this moment. Now I would like to show you one example of quite an interesting example. The Swiss Medical Board proposed here at this moment that every rupture of the anterior ligament of the knee should not be operated immediately. The words are important. Not every, not immediately. And this was done at the moment where the interventions were already declining. But with the proposal, you see here the red line down here, there was some change. Now, is that the big change? Is that the small change? Is that no change? Well, as a politician or somebody else, I would like to know what that represents in terms of Swiss francs. And you see it represents 10 million Swiss francs per year of not expended money, less expenditure. Now we can discuss a lot. Is this significant? Well, 10 million for me, that's a very significant sum, but we do not know what is most important. We do not know how it looks down here. 2015, 2016. Does it really continue to decrease? Is this difference still here? Now, in the future, I think for HTA, there is a lot to do. We do not have in Switzerland a good system for health technology assessment. And I think with the initiatives of the Confederation and the Federal Office of Public Health, we should involve not only all partners, but we should also benefit from experience which were made, for instance, by the cantons. And I think there are possibly two different topics in there, the new applications for new technology, and the more difficult one to look at touchy questions where even in a specialist society people do not agree among themselves, and we should try certainly to keep the touchy questions also active. Now, finally, my last point is highly specialized medicine. Highly specialized medicine is a movement of the cantons, but they were obliged to do it by the law. The law says the canton must concentrate highly specialized medicine. And it has also started 5-6 years ago. The collaboration with the specialist society was not always ideal, and that's also why I present it, because I think both together can bring more. But I show 3 examples where the collaboration, top-down, bottom-up, was very good. The first one, management of stroke. Stroke units, stroke centers could be created by the common movement, and this has improved substantially the management of stroke patients in Switzerland. Now, would the specialist society have achieved this goal, imposing to the hospitals and to the politicians the creation of stroke units or stroke centers without this top-down push by highly specialized medicine? I do not think so. I think this helped a lot. Complex visceral surgery, also a good example, congenital heart medicine for pediatric cardiology and cardiac surgery also. But it's always a problem at which point we need all some top-down pressure, and at which point the specialist can really take over and implement the best way to do it. Now, in conclusion, a few actors have really legal power, but a lot of actors have moral and other power. The specialists, the academies, and others, and I think we need both. Politicians have also to be influenced in the good way to bring something to smarter medicine. You have seen these 4 topics. I tried to show you that we cannot afford not to use both parts. The legal implications or the legal power and the power, the grassroots, as it was said so nicely, for choosing wisely, but we have to work not necessarily better together, but still a little bit more together, because what we have as a common priority, it's clear, is the patient's health. Thank you very much for your attention.